You already seen me turn a man to a goat. So we talk about magic today. Nah, that's a Jay-Z bar. So we getting into a God MC today. Stay tuned.
It's on, you did. Alone, I was never on my own, you did. Had hip-hop guiding me alone, you did. Make history, put it in a song, you did. And it's on, you did. It's on, you did. Alone, I was never on my own, you did. Had hip-hop guiding me alone, you did. Make history, put it in a song, you did. And it's on, you did. It's on, you did. You dig?
What up, world? It's your man Art, back with another episode of You Dig. And in this episode, we're going to bring you the beat, talking about the current state of New York hip-hop. Then we're going to jump into some hip-hop legacy, talking about the great Roc-A-Fella / Jay-Z Part 1. Then we're going to give y'all some quick facts you probably didn't know with our fact segment. Then we're going to close it all out, which you gotta hear this. Not even sure what I'm going to recommend yet, but it's going to be dope. You know how we do it. So yeah, we back at it again. You dig? Let's get it. So on today's segment of The Beat, we're going to get into a quick discussion on the current state of New York hip-hop. As we've already discussed here on You Dig, New York City is the birthplace of what we know today as hip-hop. For about 2 decades, New York was the cornerstone for hip-hop talent. Cats like LL and Rakim, Public Enemy and Big Daddy Kane. Then on to cats like Wu-Tang, Nas, Jay-Z, DMX, Pun, and Biggie. Arguably some of the best rappers ever came from New York. The dominance of New York rappers has essentially disappeared. The last few flashes of New York dominance either ended in tragedy or a prison stint. To go in a little more detail, Pop Smoke was fly stuff. Bro's delivery, charisma, and perceived authenticity had him set up to be a young king of New York. R.I.P. to the Smoke. Then take it further back when New York had the biggest song in hip-hop and potentially one of the biggest artists until Bobby Shmurda and his whole team went to prison. Since Shmurda's imprisonment, New York's hitmakers been A Boogie, Lil Tecca dropped 1, of course Cardi's Bodak Yellow did big numbers. To be honest, New York has taken a step back from its nearly 30 years of dominance that's from hip-hop's origin through 50 Cent's run in the 2000s. Today's New York scene is dominated by what they attempt to call drill rap, but drill rap is a Chicago thing. They try and say Shmurda is the OG New York drill rapper, but he wasn't drill rap to me. I would consider Pop Smoke a drill rapper, but the cats after him or the cats that came with him feel like imitation. I'm not going to say any names, but if you know New York right now, you know what I'm saying. There's definitely a few bright spots out there. A couple of the New York cats that I rock with, I like Lil Tecca, I like A$AP Ferg. Sometimes I like A$AP Rocky. Of course, we got A Boogie with the hoodie. You got to rock because, you know. We got Dave East, you know, the real spitters, Dave East, Joey Badass, Pun, Son, Chris Rivers is dope. Griselda, gotta shout out Griselda. I mean, they represent upstate, don't really rep the city like that, but gotta shout out Griselda. Personally, I think New York artists need to reestablish an identity that is unique to New York and not imitate what they hear in the Midwest and the South. New York has a culture of its own, and that should be reflected in its music. I mean, Bobby and Rowdy just came home, and that can only be a good thing for New York hip-hop. That's the beat. When it comes to record labels, no one has done it better than Roc-A-Fella Records. And when it comes to the longest reign in hip-hop, no one has held the crown longer than Jay-Z. I was talking to my young boy the other day, and bro did not know enough about Roc-A-Fella. So this right here is the Roc-A-Fella / Jay-Z episode part 1. So Roc-A-Fella Records was founded in 1995 by Jay-Z, Dame Dash, and Biggs Burt. Jay-Z was the principal artist from its inception, so let's begin this hip-hop legacy with an examination of his early years. Jay-Z was born Sean Corey Carter to Agnes Reeves and Gloria Carter in Brooklyn, New York. He attended Eli Whitley High School with rapper AZ, then attended George Westinghouse Tech High School with Busta Rhymes and Biggie Smalls. It has been noted that Busta and Jay-Z used to battle each other back in school. It's also been noted that Jay-Z doesn't write rhymes. As a teenager, Jay-Z kept a notebook with him to jot down rhymes as they came to his head throughout the day. If he didn't have his notebook, he would buy something from the corner store and write it on the paper bag. Eventually, his life got too busy and he began the practice of memorizing his rhymes. Jay-Z's name is said to come from his hood name Jazzy, It is also to pay homage to his former partner, Jaz-O. In the mid-90s, Jay-Z often performed alongside Big Daddy Kane, holding down the stage freestyling as Kane changed during intermissions. Although Jay-Z can be heard on Jaz-O's early recordings such as The Originators and Hawaii Sophie, he first became known to widespread audiences on Big Daddy Kane's 1994 track, Show and Prove. Jay-Z would also appear on Big L's The Graveyard and Mike Geronimo's Time to Build featuring DMX and Ja Rule. His first official single was In My Lifetime. Jay's debut album, Reasonable Doubt, is widely considered one of the best hip-hop albums of all time. Rolling Stones has it in its top 500 greatest albums of all time. The album featured too many dope tracks. Dead Presidents 2, Can't Knock the Hustle featuring Mary J, Feeling It, Ain't No N-Word featuring Foxy, Brooklyn's Finest featuring Biggie. Jay's next album, In My Lifetime, released '97, wasn't as good as the debut, but it initially sold better. His 1998 album, Volume 2, Hard Knock Life, was Jay-Z's first album that was recognized for its greatness from the very beginning when it debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. It sold over 350 copies in its first week and is still Jay-Z's best-selling album of all time, going 5 times platinum. The first hip-hop album released by Roc-A-Fella that was not a Jay-Z album was legendary DJ Clue's The Professional album that featured everybody that was hot in '99. To be clear, this album contained tracks from DMX, The Lox, Mace, Foxy Brown, Missy Elliott, Raekwon, Mobb Deep, Nas, and more. The first rapper other than Jay to release a solo album on Roc-A-Fella was Jay's protege Memphis Bleek with his 1999 release, The Coming of Age. But it's my belief that The Roc took off in 2000 with Beanie Siegel's debut album, The Truth. This album honestly was not that good in respect to Beanie's other albums, but it sold over 155,000 copies in its first week, and it introduced Roc-A-Fella in-house producers Just Blaze and Kanye West. The year 2000 also saw the release of Roc-A-Fella's only female rapper, Emil's debut album, All Money Is Legal, and another Jay-Z album, The Dynasty Rock La Familia, which featured other Roc-A-Fella artists on almost every song. The Dynasty was heavily produced by Just Blaze and featured the Neptunes produced hit, I Just Wanna Love You, Give It To Me. After another Memphis Bleek album, The Understanding, in late 2000, we get something from one of Roc-A-Fella's crown jewels, Beanie Siegel, with his second album, The Reason. This album is super dope and leads me to an important part of this segment with an examination of who Beanie Siegel is. First off, in Nas' diss song Ether, which took aim at Jay-Z, Nas raps, compared to Beans, you whack. While this is not true and just a diss, it shows you the level that Beanie Siegel is on. Beanie Siegel was born to white Equan Grant in South Philly. His rap name comes from Beanie, a nickname given to him by his grandmother, and Siegel, which was the street he grew up on in South Philly. Many don't know this, but Siegel was in a rap group with Black Thought from The Roots in elementary school. Beanie Siegel also appeared on The Roots' 1999 track Adrenaline from the Things Fall Apart album. Siegel released numerous albums with Roc-A-Fella, but I just learned that his third album, and my favorite from Siegel, The Be Comin', was actually released on the Dame Dash music group, not Roc-A-Fella. But we will get into that in part 2 of this hip-hop legacy. Unfortunately, Siegel's endured a lot of turmoil throughout the 2000s, serving multiple prison stints and being shot on 2 occasions. But it is so necessary that y'all know who this brother is because he is definitely one of the best to ever do this hip-hop thing. Siegel would go on to bring other Philly cats into the Roc-A-Fella fold through his group, State Property. Led by Siegel, the group also featured Freeway, Petey Petey, Oskino, Emilio Sparks, and the Young Guns. This group produced classic hip-hop hits like Rock the Mic in 2002 and Can't Stop, Won't Stop in 2003. But let's jump back a couple years and quickly discuss one of the best albums in music history, Jay-Z's The Blueprint. Released September 11, 2001, same day as 9/11. The album's production was primarily handled by Kanye West and Just Blaze with beats from Timbaland and Eminem. Eminem is actually the only artist featured on the entire album. If you're not immediately familiar with this album, just start at the top. It's only a few skips. Classic album for sure. I kind of skipped over Jay-Z's Volume 3, The Life and Times of S. Carter album. This album definitely had some hits, including one of Jay-Z's biggest hits to date, Big Pimpin', featuring UGK. Jay-Z also did an Unplugged album with MTV in 2001. In 2002, another one of Roc-A-Fella's crown jewels, Cam'ron, released his first album with the label entitled Come Home With Me. Born Cam'ron and Zeke Giles in East Harlem, Cam was a well-known basketball player in the New York City area, playing on the same high school team as rapper Mace. Cam claims to have had offers from all the top schools in the country, but due to poor academics, he went to junior college in Texas, he dropped out and moved back to Harlem. Cam'ron's debut album, Confessions of Fire, released in 1998, is one of my favorite hip-hop albums ever. But back to the Come With Me album. This joint produced certified hits Hey Ma and Old Boy, and introduced Cam'ron's group Dipset with the artist Juelz Santana. Cam'ron's group Dipset, also known as the Diplomats, primarily consisted of Cam'ron, Jim Jones, Freaky Zeke, and Juelz Santana. Dipset's social influence is one of the cornerstones of Roc-A-Fella's impact. They had people all around the world imitating Harlem style. They also produced classic East Coast hits like Dipset Anthem. So Jay continued his dominance, releasing The Blueprint 2, The Gift and the Curse. This was a double disc with literally 2 mini songs. I think it would have gotten its praise if it were a single disc album. In 2003, Jay-Z released arguably one of his best albums, The Black Album, featuring diverse production that included Just Blaze and Kanye, but also brought along DJ Quick and the homie Knife Wonder. In 2005, this album will be considered for a Grammy Award for Best Rap Album, losing to Roc-A-Fella producer/artist Kanye West and his debut album, The College Dropout. So for another Roc-A-Fella crown jewel, Kanye West. Honestly, Kanye is a little too much to talk about in this particular episode, so we're going to hold it off for the Kanye West episode. But we should note that he did release 7 albums with Roc-A-Fella. These include the Watch the Throne album, the collaboration he did with Jay-Z in 2011, and every solo album he released through Yeezus. After retiring in 2003, Jay-Z returned with the album Kingdom Come in 2006. This album is another strong offering from Jay, though I feel like the quality of the songs were up and down with certified hits and certified whack joints. In 2007, Jay gave us another elite level album with the American Gangster Project. This is one of my favorite Jay-Z albums. A lot of the production was handled by Puffy and his team, but it's dope, gotta get into it. After the American Gangster album, Jay-Z went on a 4-year music hiatus until the release of the previously mentioned Kanye collaboration, Watch the Throne. Jay-Z's last album under Roc-A-Fella was Magna Carta Holy Grail, released in 2013. This is another one of my favorite Jay-Z albums, man. I honestly think it gets slept on amongst the rest of his albums. Roc-A-Fella has been defunct since 2013, and Jay-Z released his last solo album, 444, in 2017 under Roc Nation exclusively. In 2018, he and his wife Beyonce released a collaboration album entitled Everything Is Love under the group name The Carters. In early 2000, Jay-Z assisted Jay Electronica on his debut album, A Written Testimony, dropping jewels and verses all over that joint. So that leads us to the end of part 1 of the Roc-A-Fella/Jay-Z hip-hop legacy. In this episode, we chose to primarily focus on the music. In the next episode, we're going to focus on Roc-A-Fella's initial formation. Going to talk about the co-founders, Dame and Biggs. Also going to talk about all the business moves and basically the overall impact on hip-hop in general. So stay tuned for that episode 4. You dig? Yes, indeed. So a lot happened during this Roc-A-Fella era, 90s hip-hop, golden era, you already know. So we had to break out a few facts that you probably didn't know. Did you know that Irv Gotti attempted to assemble a supergroup consisting of Jay-Z, DMX, and Ja Rule? The group was called Murder Inc. before the label. Jay-Z's teacher told the Washington Post that he scored 12th grade when he was in the 6th grade on a reading test. No surprise bro can remember rhymes like he does. Did you know that 12 of Jay-Z's albums have been nominated for Grammys? 13 if you include Jay Electronica's album. Only 2 have won Grammys. As of 2018, New York City rappers accounted for more than half of all platinum albums in hip-hop, with over 100 platinum albums. The next closest was Los Angeles with barely 50. Did you know that the albums Watch the Throne and Magna Carta were actually released under both Roc-A-Fella and Roc Nation? Yep, so that's our Roc-A-Fella/Jay-Z facts. Hope y'all got something y'all didn't know. Pass that along like a hip-hop jewel, you dig? Okay. So the pressure's on. You gotta hear this. Roc-A-Fella, Jay-Z, so many options for this, man. So I did narrow it down. I got one for y'all, man. I'm gonna go with Crown off that Magna Carta album, man. Joint produced by the lady, Wonder Girl, super producer, super duper lyrics on that joint. Jay-Z went super in. Actually gave y'all the bar at the beginning, you know, the GOAT bar. Go ahead and check that out, man. For sure, for sure. Now I can't play it right here. Wish I could play it for y'all, but that's what we're going to recommend for the day. Yeah, man. So that's a wrap on part 1 of the Roc-A-Fella / Jay-Z episode. Next time we'll be talking about the business side of things, so make sure y'all stay tuned to part 2. But yeah, if y'all rock with that, make sure y'all subscribe, man. All the episodes are dope. That's how we do it over here. ThatRnd.com with the dope merch. Pay attention to that. But yeah, thank y'all for tapping in with everything we're doing over here. See y'all next time. You dig?
You dig?